There is something people are talking about these days: a constitutional amendment to increase the number of women in Nigeria's states and national assemblies.
It's a constitutional amendment bill, which will require a more laborious process because it goes through the National Assembly and then goes through to the state assemblies. We require 2/3 of these states to accept or to ratify.
You might wonder why people are talking about this. Does something happen when more women serve in elected office? Well, as it turns out, good things happen. Government policies change. When higher numbers of women serve in elected office, governments devote more resources to programs that makes life better for everyone. For example, making healthcare more accessible, improving infrastructure like bridges and roads, and enacting stimulus programs that spur economic growth. How do we know this? We know it from pioneering research. Two professors at Wheaton College and American University examined health outcomes between 1995 and 2012 in all the countries in the world. The researchers tested the relationship between health outcomes and the percentage of women in parliament. They found that the number of women in parliament is positively associated with health outcomes, such as life expectancy. Citizens of countries with higher percentages of women in public offices are healthier and they live longer. That's not all. Their economies grow faster too. That may surprise some people to hear. How do we know economies grow faster when more women serve in elected office? 4 scholars found evidence when they examined local economic performance in India over a 20-year period from 1992 to 2012. Now, India has over 4,000 local governments, and by law, on a rotating basis, 1/3 are led by women. The researchers found that local economic growth in constituencies led by women was nearly 2 percentage points higher than in the constituencies led by men. Not only that, the constituencies led by women performed better in building and upgrading infrastructure like bridges and roads. Now, leading research suggests that an increase in the number of women holding office in Nigeria will pay off with better health and livelihoods for all Nigerians. It is time to ask, what share of seats in Nigeria's assemblies are held by women today? Women currently hold 8 of the 109 seats in Nigeria's Senate. Only 7.3%. Of the 360 seats in Nigeria's House of Representatives, women hold just 3.6%. Nigeria's 36 state houses of assembly contain a total of 991 seats. Today, women hold 40 of them, which is 4%. The National Assembly and all the state houses of assembly total 1,460 seats. Women hold 61, just 4.2%. Considering that women are half of Nigeria's population, 4.2% of the seats in our assemblies is not a fair share. But maybe it is the same in the rest of the world. It is not. Women hold 22% of the seats in all the parliaments of the world and have the same share of seats in all the parliaments in Africa. 1 seat out of 5. In Nigeria, there are 469 total seats in our National Assembly, and women hold just 21, which works out to 4.5%. That's 1 seat out of 20. If Nigeria doesn't stack up against the rest of the world, Is it at least getting better? Is the share of seats held by women in our National Assembly improving? It is not improving. Our number is low. And in all the National Assembly elections since our return to democratic rule, the highest share of seats won by women was just 7%. That is 1/3 the figure of the average African parliament today. And from that modest point, in the last 2 elections, Nigeria has been on a downward trend. The facts of the matter are clear. In Nigeria, we don't have enough women in elected office. Why is this? What is holding us back? There are many factors. Political parties don't think that women can win tough races and don't nominate women to run. Campaign contributors think the same way. Women who run for office find it more difficult to raise funds than men. On the campaign trail, women candidates are subjected to all sorts of abuse and harassments, much of it on social media. Worst of all, women who run for political office sometimes suffer actual physical attacks. Men who run for office, they don't have to go through the many kinds of ordeals that women candidates have to endure. Who knows how many talented women, seeing the disadvantages women face and the abuse that women candidates are subjected to, decide not to run for office in the first place.
I was afraid because I don't know, I have no knowledge of politics before now. I don't know how to even start. After so many consultations with some stakeholders in the constituency, I was able to get the strength to start the political activities proper.
I fought tooth and nail all my life to build a successful career. I know firsthand that when women go out into the world, they have to overcome all sorts of barriers that men never encounter. Some people claim because men don't confront them, these barriers are imaginary. Others say the barriers women face may be real. Oh, but they aren't so bad. I have my views on the matter. But whatever the truth may be, the good news is when Nigerian women really put their minds to something, they succeed. And when Nigerian women run for political office, sometimes they win. We are going to hear from some outstanding Nigerian legislators who happen to be women. All of them beat the odds to win election.
What's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome in running for elected office?
There is this village that is called Langa. I went there to campaign. I was talking. My people were by me. The villagers were listening to me. Suddenly, somebody came up. They started breaking our cars, beating up my people. And me, I say, I don't know how to run. Come and see me racing, racing like a dog. I was just racing through the bush.
Some people came to plant bombs, rather. When they came, unfortunately for them, when they were trying to connect whether the wires or whatever, the thing exploded on them. One of them died and one was taken into custody. So that didn't deter me, that didn't take me back, didn't stop me. People will make advances at you. And again, you have to balance between your family and politics. These are some of the challenges, and you have to carry yourself in such a way that you'll be respected. There are certain things you don't need to do as a female politician. If not, you'll be tagged a prostitute.
The biggest hurdle is my gender. You know, when you're a woman, everything is stacked up against you. And that is the greatest hurdle a woman has in elective office.
Take note of the grit and good humor the women we've heard from summoned up to win election. Count up all the barriers they've had to overcome. Let's consider those barriers. Frankly, some are more like barricades. And if you look to see who constructs and maintains these barricades, it is our men. Truth be told, if we want more women in our elected offices, our men have to come down off those barricades. Not only that, our men have to help take them down. This is where we run into a problem. It is called the right answer syndrome. These days on questions of gender equity, most of our men know to say the right thing, but not enough of our men actually do the right thing, which brings us back to the question people are talking about: amending the Constitution to increase the number of women in our assemblies. These amendments will be a step in the right direction. It starts towards catching up with the rest of the world. And for these amendments to pass, male allies are required. Men who act, men who are strong, both in word and in deed.
Men have helped me tremendously. There are so many of them. They stood by me with their assets, with their money, and what have you. So I think the men can help. The men can give us their support.
There's no doubt that out there is a jungle, a huge, thick forest that you just need to navigate through. But the men, because of their agenda, because of their ability to always work together, because of their financial muscle, already are advanced, and they have been in it for longer than most of us, so they know the ropes. That is where they're coming. That is where we need them.
The call for women participation and gender equity is universal. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. And I'm glad the president also has lent his strong voice. But let me first of all say, a lot of men in the National Assembly are also on this bandwagon. All 100% of our colleagues need to be on board to show universal acceptance. And we'll continue to talk to them, continue to make them understand the need for it, the importance of women in the fabric of our society, why they should be part of governance and decision making, why they should be sitting comfortably at the table when we have conversations on politics and economics and social well-being of the country. That's very important. It's the idea sells itself. The idea actually sells itself if you live in the modern world. Ours is just to nudge a little bit and push a little bit and convince wherever there are doubts. When you think about women participation, think about your wives. Think about your mothers. More importantly, think about your daughters. Do you want your daughters to hold positions of authority, of decision making? If the answer is yes, then the time is now. If the answer is no, think more about it. If you really truly love the loved ones around you, your daughters and your sisters and your wives, I think it'll be easy to come to an irresistible conclusion that yes, I mean, in order to help them emancipate them, they need to the environment, the stage needs to be set for them to participate and hold office, and you'll be amazed what women can bring to the table.
A constitutional amendment to increase the number of women in Nigeria's assemblies is a goal of both intrinsic and instrumental value. Of intrinsic value because it is fair, it is the right thing to do, and of instrumental value because more women in elected office will mean improved access to health care, higher economic growth, and upgraded infrastructure. If research from around the world is any indication, is it? Do these research results hold up in Nigeria?
What accomplishment during your time in office are you proudest of?
I knew I had to work harder more than the men because I have to leave a legacy. So I put in my very best as a local government chairman. The resources that were coming to me were just very meager, but knowing who I am as a woman, as a mother, if I can manage the home, meaning I can manage these resources, little resources for my people. So I was able to build bridges, I was able to build culverts, I was able to electrify 14 villages and I commissioned. When my tenure was up, I left over 20 villages ongoing.
I have done roads for them. I have built hospitals. I have done schools. I have built ICT centers. I have done town halls.
We are having this high rate of child mortality in my area. So I decided to ask them, what do they need? They said, if they can get these self-delivery kits, after a woman is going to antenatal, she will be given this. When she gives birth, she will be given this self-delivery kit so that to keep her baby and herself safe. I produced these self-delivery kits, over 2,300 self-delivery kits, to distribute them in my various clinics in the constituency. We are not having good drinking water. So what I did was, when the constituency fund was given, I ensured that every ward in my constituency have a borehole. I sunk a borehole there. You understand? So in some wards, I even think about 2 to 3 boreholes, depending on the size of the wards. So I ensure that they have potable drinking water to minimize or to eradicate cholera outbreak and other related diseases.
One of the achievements I'm proudest of is the one in my community, in the 2 primary schools in my community primary school 1, Hobago Central, and community primary school, Hobago 2. Their block of classrooms were dilapidated, very bad, broken walls and all that. When I came in as a counselor, the headmistress took me around the blocks. She showed me the blocks, and the children that were in that classroom were these infants, 1, 2 years. They are kindergarten side. There were the kids that were in that place. The place was a threat to their lives. So when I saw that, I went back to the local government. I invited my local government chairman, Honorable Sunday. So after so much pressure, one day he called me that he was in my community. Then I came out. I took them to the school. He went round. He saw the building. He knew the need for them to hasten up with the letter, and from there it was approved, and the 6 classroom block was built for community primary school, Obagome. Then 3 classroom blocks was built for the second school.
The women lawmakers we have met fought tough fights to win elections. And in office, they've done good things. Their stories inspire us. Their stories are what the research predicts. They are making a difference. And that's good news. And there's more good news. What people are talking about, a bill to create additional seats reserved for women in all Nigerian assemblies, is moving through the legislative process. An old African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We need to go far. So we must go together. If Nigeria is to move quickly to increase the number of women in elected office, the Constitution must be amended. For the amendments to pass, our men must act as allies, side by side with women. In the history of every nation, There come times when great issues arise, times when people look up from their immediate interests to decide on questions that can change their country's destiny. At such times, a nation's best leader stands up to be counted. Every country reaches such crossroads. Nigeria is at such crossroads today. More than 20 years ago, Nigeria restored a constitutional democratic form of government. But in all the elections since 1999, the number of women in our assemblies has never reached 10%. Why is this? Women are half of our population. It's only fair and right that women should have a greater share of seats in our elected offices, and beyond the questions of fairness and right lies the question of national well-being. All around the world, countries with higher percentage of women in elected office enjoy better healthcare, public infrastructure, and job-creating economic growth. We've heard testimony from women serving in elected office today. And their stories are what the research predicts. Today, people are talking about a constitutional amendment to create new seats for women in Nigerians' assemblies. Imagine the future that road would lead to. Imagine the women taking seats in both chambers of the National Assembly, in all the 36 states House of Assembly, brimming with enthusiasm and bursting with ideas, with unique talents and different lived experiences, proposing and voting for measures to build a healthy and prosperous Nigeria. If we go fit move ahead, our parliament must do something.
Yes, so my people, I salute you now. Now, to Baba there, so all my palette, all my brothers, time don't reach me to put our mouth for this matter, because we get to catch up with the rest of the world. You understand? We could join more, we could support the involvement of more women for our government. It don't take, you understand? Time don't reach. We could join hands, we could support the bill to include more women for the seat, for the house, for every government this team. Make them sit down for the table, make them put mouth join the whole matter too. Because as women be, Nigeria the love full inside. I believe my mama well. I don't say you say if you believe your mama well. So we could support that motion to include them more. For where they discuss serious things for our matter. Everything goes soft, you go see. You understand? So one love to everybody out there. Make our African queen there. Make them enter this system. Make them put mouth.
Today, Nigeria is at a crossroad.
And just yesterday, you came around.